All right, we are. Hello and welcome everyone. I am Kim Beegler, owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill, and we are at the mill today, starting out here, back at the picker. If you're new, I talk a lot about wool, farming, hand spinning, knitting, all of the crafts. And if you're coming back, thank you. We are starting out with some fiber that we washed over the last week or two in other episodes. So I have got some Romney wool, I have got some alpaca, and I've got a little bit of silk here. So we are going to be doing some blending at the carder today. For those of you that have been around for a little while in my community, this blend may sound familiar. Back when I was still spinning yarn, this was, I call it the Halsey. Do I call it Halsey? Yeah. Is that what I call it? Oh my gosh, Romney alpaca silk. Anyway, so this is that blend. It's one of the signature blends that I do. I have not been able to keep up on keeping it in stock lately, so we are restocking a little and maybe it'll last for a little bit, who knows. So I am using a natural white Romney and a light fawn alpaca and some white silk. So it's been bleached white. The natural color silk is a little bit closer to this fawn color, but I kind of wanted to keep this. I just didn't want to take away from the coloring of the alpaca in essence. So that's why I decided to go with a white versus a color that would match the alpaca better. I just kind of wanted the alpaca to stand out on its own for its own beautiful color. So what I'm doing here is just loading up the picker, and I like to layer stuff just so that it goes into the picker a little bit more smoothly. The silk and the alpaca have a tendency to get a little more caught up in the rollers of the machine, which we don't want because those are both lovely and expensive fibers. Not that the wool isn't. I'm not buying the cheapest of wool, so all of it, none of it we want destroyed basically. So I'm just layering. I put down some silk first. I've already weighed out. I know how much of each I want by weight. So I already have it weighed out per, like I have a pound of Romney. I know how much alpaca and silk I want. It doesn't have to be perfect when I get to this stage. It'll just keep blending along the way. So I'm not like trying to weigh it out exactly here at the picker. We have the basics for what a pound of this blend is here. So I'm just gonna go through, keep doing this, and I'll let you go over here and take a peek at what's going on in the picker. I may try to take a view just from the top so you can kind of see what I'm doing here with the fiber a little bit better, and let you see what it looks like coming out the end of the carder. And I'll keep chugging away. All right, so now you've got a nice quick view of what I'm doing on top here. And this goes a little bit slower because I'm trying to kind of layer and keep up with the machine. And I open the alpaca up just a smidge also because it got a little bit tightened up in washing. But that's just basically how I'm going. I do a little bit of silk, I do a little bit of alpaca, and then I do a little bit of the Romney on top, and the Romney just handles the teeth the best, and that's why it's getting to be the top layer. It has the most direct contact with the teeth. So now I'm going to let you all go see what it looks like coming out. This blend is really pretty and a dream to spin, let me tell you. So I'll show you. All right, here it is coming out. It's just being thrown out into the picker there, which is a shower. It's kind of where everything gets contained. So as soon as I'm done, I'll open this up and let you guys kind of see the fluff as it comes out. All right, you all, I finished picking out the last of that. So it is about, well, I did just over 3 pounds of Romney, plus all the stuff that got added. So some extra alpaca and some extra silk, and I'm just cleaning off the top, which I don't think you can see, but all the stuff that floated to the top. So now what I will do, and you can see how nice and fluffy that is. So I'll just pull this out of here, and I'm going to condition this because it's supposed to be dry for a couple days, and this has got alpaca and silk in it. And so we just have like double pleasure on trying to static up for us. So I'll pull this out. I will get it conditioned, and then we will head to the carder after that. And this is one of my favorite blends. Once it's all blended up, it's so lovely to work with and so nice to spin out. So, okay, we will probably head to the carder next, although you never know with me. All right, we are at the washer, and I have put it in view for you here, some fin. This is fin sheep, and fin sheep's wool, I should say, not actual fin sheep, but I have got a fin wool sheep. Oh my goodness, get your English right. Can't. So here it is. Here's the fleece. I have cold soaked this because it was pretty dirty. It kind of reminded me of just how our wool looks. It does have a, I mean, the person I bought it from did say this has some VM in it. So I was not super shocked by that. I'm going to start opening this up while I'm talking to you. I wasn't shocked by the VM. I actually wasn't shocked by anything about this fleece. It kind of looks similar to what our sheep's wool looks like when it comes off of them. Fin sheep, you know, have a bit of a longer staple length. It just kind of is what I would expect from your average fleece. But I did decide to cold soak it because it did have some nice level of dirt in it, in those locks. And so I cold soaked it last night, and now we are here, and I'm going to just open it up. There is some VM in it for sure. They warned of that. This is not the usual breed that this farm breeds. So I believe this is the same farm I got the Cormo fleece from, which is more what they do. Not that that matters, but I think that they do coat their Cormos, and this sheep they were not going to coat, which I get. So anyway, I'm just going to open it up, and I'm interested to see how well this does clean up. I think I honestly can't remember. I believe it is like a light gray color, and when I was skirting it, that's what I am thinking I am seeing, like gray and white, but because of the dirt, it's kind of hard for me to tell. So it did get a lot of dirt out with the cold soaking. So I'm going to go ahead and finish opening this up, and I'm kind of pulling any bigger chunks of VM that I might have missed when I was first doing a quick skirt on it. So I'm going to finish this up, get the washer going, and then we will see how it washes up. All right, this is beeping at me, so I'm going to open this up. We can get our first glimpse of how this is looking, which is already significantly better. That's what we want to see, and I always like to put just this last little bit of soap in there. That's anyway. So this is looking much better already. And the water is dirty, but not insane, which is, I think, what it would have been had I not cold soaked it. So that's great. So far, I am feeling, and I'm starting to see the color of the fleece, I think. So we'll see when it comes out, but happy with our first little run there. All right, you guys, we are outside. I'm at home, and Velma's peeing for you as she does. Chickens are busy cleaning up some mess. And I'm going to open a box of wool, which is very exciting. All right, so here we go. And the person I ordered this from actually said that they sent some washed, and there's our dude to help tell us when things are awry, which is like, I'm outside. So this is not what I ordered. This was just a little getting the full effect of the farm now. This is just something that they included as a gift. I'm doing this outside because I've never ordered from this person, and I just want to see, make sure everything looks clean. And this is lovely, just something fun for me to play with, they said, which is nice. And it's nice, and I feel a little bit of lanolin in it, but it would be nice to do something with at home, I think. So that was a nice little extra bonus gift. So now let's open this, which is what I ordered from them. That'll go in the house for some playing. And this is all the boys on the farm are gonna talk while I'm outside. So same thing, I'm opening this outside because I've never ordered from this farm before, and I just like to make sure there's no critters before I put it with, and so far we look good. So I'll do, you can see it just poofing out of the box now. I can probably, we'll leave you, that's a pretty good. So this is fin sheep wool, and nice long staple on it. Probably, I think it was about 5 inches. Yeah, it looks about 5 inches. So I don't see anything moving, which is a good sign. So what I'll do is take it inside, see if that has really bloomed out, hasn't it? From the box. Let me pull you up a little bit higher. Ooh, that's pretty. I'm glad I opened that outside in the light so you could see those colors. So I am going to take this in, throw it on my skirting table, and I'm just kind of checking staple. See, making sure it's nice and strong. Things are staying together. The tips might be a little bit weak, but that's kind of to be expected with these longer wools. They get bleached by the sun is what happens. That's why you can see, same thing happens with our Shetlands. So the sun, unless you're coating them, which is a whole different beast of a thing to do, the sun's going to bleach those tips. Sometimes it can cause them to be a little bit weaker. We'll see how this processes out. The other fin sheep that I just washed in this video, the tips are just a smidge weak too. So we'll see. A lot of times that just, especially with wools like this, it's not noticeable once it gets carded out, and anything that needs to fall out will fall out. So I'm going to take this in. We're going to just do another quick, I don't think it needs a whole lot of skirting, but just to get anything extra out that might fall out on the skirting table, and then it'll go to the mill to be washed, and it's a beautiful fleece, so I'm excited. All right, out of the box, hard to imagine. Look at this, box size, fleece size. It is a sizable fleece. I think it was about 7 pounds or so. So I am, oops, sorry you all, I am just gonna toss it out. I'm guessing that it's not yet, just by the looks of it. And I'm kind of checking to make sure I still don't see any casings or anything like that, but this is looking nice and clean. This is a gigantic fleece. I think I'm just going to take this half out for right now, and I will go ahead and I'm just going to open it up so that I can see and what we're aiming for. And this is kind of how, after I skirt, this is what a fleece looks like too. So this is kind of my norm for what I'm working with. Ooh, it smells nice. So I am going to just put the cut side down is the goal. So any VM that's under there or second cuts will drop out. And I'll just go through, like I said, there's not really anything big to pick out of this that I'm seeing. I'm just kind of like giving it another chance to, yeah, there's not much in here for me to pick. I'm gonna grab a bag, and then what I'll do is just go through, and I reuse my plastic bags to the end of the earth, basically, because why shouldn't we, right? Tomorrow is actually shearing day for our animals, for half of them anyway. So we'll be reusing bags forever. Anyway, I'm just kind of gonna go through, pull off more chunks of this, because as you all have seen when I get to the mill, and I'm not really seeing much to pick. So I'm just gonna, off the side here, I'm kind of giving them a good shake. I don't want anything that's in there to end up right back in the wool. So I'm just picking up, and this is something super easy for you to do at home, right? Opening it up a bit, and then I'll kind of try to show it in here, just giving it like a shake. so anything else can topple out that needs to. There's little bits of EM, but fin sheep is not a wool that I am concerned about as far as, I mean, if it was horrible VM, that would be one thing, but fin is one of those sheep that will drop VM and other stuff pretty quickly. So this is looking good. I'm gonna go through and you can see I am not gentle. I pull it apart, give it another little shake, let stuff come out, and then I'll toss it in the bag. So I'm gonna go through and do this, and then this will be probably not in this episode, but it will head to the mill, and we'll get it washed up. And before I order from this shepherd again, like so far things look great, but I always like to kind of get through the process with a fleece before I say, yahoo, let's order from this person again. And that doesn't, even if something doesn't go perfectly right, doesn't mean they're like nixed from me buying from them again. It just means that I have to, you know, be mindful and take notes, right? Like, or give them another chance if something's not great, because you just never know. Okay, you all, I'm not going to have you watch this whole thing, but you'll see it when I get it back to the mill. So I will see you on the flip side of this video. Thought I would just show you. I'm kind of at the end of this. Little parts I'm pulling, mostly if there's a little bit of neck, but I'll just pull a chunk of it off and give it a go. Generally speaking, there is always more bits and bits that can come out of a fleece. With just a shake, you'd be surprised. This fleece is gorgeous, and it is not small, my goodness. So I'm excited to get this to the mill, see how it washes up, because I would love to get more if it's going to behave how I want it to behave. Here's a little bit of felting, you know, that's normal. Necks, things like that. Trust me, on the sheep we are shearing tomorrow, we will have some felted spots. So just gonna last little bit here. Looks good. And also notice that I am not the most gentle with wool. It's pretty hardy stuff, you all. Don't be afraid of it. You can always practice on something small before you get more confident. But there's our fleece, ready to go. I'm really trying to make an effort to keep up on this. And I have another fleece I'll show you. I just skirted it, but since it's sitting here, take a quick peek at it. This is a beautiful border Leicester fleece, and I'll get you back in to see it. Skirted it the other day. Really stunning fleece. You can see, get some of that crimp in there. And you can see the same thing. Those bleached out tips, that's just nature, wool and nature. So, okay. I think we're done in here for the day. Onward, onward. Okay, so let's get started with the fiber that I have been working on. And sorry, the lighting's a little weird in here, but it's daylight and it's the best I could do. And it's a Sunday and I was sitting at home and I wanted to show you this before I spun all. So I bought this fiber. This is kind of how it looks coming out. I'll show you what it looked like. I've spun a little bit of it. So when I got it, this is how it looked, right? It was wrapped up. It's from a farm. I think I got it at Maryland Sheep and Wool when I was there. So it looked kind of like this, right? It is llama and merino from their farm, which is what I love to spin. When I'm at festivals, if I'm going to buy finished roving, I would like it to be like from a farm or from a mill where they're processing local wool, that sort of thing. So this is kind of how it looks. It is, you can see, like it's pretty stuck to each other. And if I pull some out that I haven't touched, let me pull it out. Like you can see, it's very dense. Like that is some dense stuff. And it's just kind of compacted. I wouldn't say it's felted, but it was not going to spin easily just by me spinning that. So what I have been doing is I pull it out. I actually prepped all of this before on the last batch and then just could spin. Obviously you could do a little bit at a time, however it's going to work for you. But let's just take a little bit at a time. So I'm just going to pull a chunk of this off. And so you can see, I mean, it just is really, really dense. So what I have been doing is, if I was working with just like a process top, hopefully all you would do is have to open up widthwise, and that would help loosen all the fibers up. I've kind of talked about that before. I talk about it in my online course, but this is not, I mean, I think this is just roving. Difference between roving and top is that roving is still, the fibers are not parallel to each other. They're still a little bit interwebbed, crisscrossed, all that thing. Top is it's been combed, so all the fibers are running parallel to each other. We'll see if my cat comes running in. So it was just from, I'm sure at one time this was very flouncy, fluffy fiber, but now it's just been compacted. So I would open it up. I opened it up a little bit. See how I'm just going along? So you can see. So there's the end, and I'm just going along and opening up widthwise, which is going to do a fair amount. I didn't think for this fiber, it's pretty heavy roving. Like at my mill, I tend to process lighter roving as far as less fibers running through, because I just think it makes it a little bit easier. But I'm going through this way, and you can see how it is pretty like worked up. After I did that, I felt like it just still wasn't going to spin easily. And because I'm spinning this long draw, I wanted to have it really nice and loose. So now I've kind of opened it up widthwise, and now I'm just going to pre-draft it a bit. So I'm just pulling those front fibers and sliding them up a bit, and I'll show you in a minute here how different this looks. You do have to watch your hands. If your hands are too close, the staple length of the fibers may get stuck, and then you're just fighting. So kind of have your hands a little bit, and you're very gentle, because if you go too hard, it's just going to pull apart, right? So now look at how nice you can see me back there versus this part that I haven't done that is so dense. So now this is going to be much easier to spin. I'm very excited about this. Something that I failed to do when I first started, and when I teach students to spin, whether it's online or in person, I always say, check your staple length when you are starting a new project. Did I check my staple length? Do I ever remember? No, but as students, it helps. So checking staple length just means like pulling a bit of fiber off the top here, right? And seeing what you're working with as far as length. So when you can pull and you're not getting it and it's not breaking apart, that's kind of your staple length. This fiber is, you can see how now I'm pulling apart. So it's not that long. And so with that in mind, I probably should have been spinning it a little bit different on my wheel. And I'm going to flip to the wheel and just show you what, and now I'm kind of in it already. I already spun a whole bob. I don't know. I was on vacation when I started this and just wasn't paying attention. So now we're in it. I don't want to change all the ratios and stuff because it's just going to make my second bobbin different. So I've just decided to go with it, and I'll show you what I would have done different and how I am making the adjustment to make it work still. So let me turn around and I'll put you over my wheel. Okay, so we're here this is a Magic Craft Rose. This is my baby of a wheel. So the first thing, what I should have done, right, was to check my staple length. And just a note, if you are newer to spinning, it is recommended that you take, if you have one of these more rubbery drive bands, rubber, plastic, whatever it may be, that you take it off in between spinning so that it doesn't stretch. The life of the drive band will last longer. So what I would have done, let's go to the side here, to the back actually, is in hindsight, because I know this has a shorter staple length, what I would have done is I would have adjusted and gone to a smaller whirl size. So you can see I have got 5 whirl sizes on this whirl, and I have it at a bigger one, which means that the twist is going to go in slower. So I probably would have done maybe not the fastest one, but I probably would have done the second or even the middle, but probably that second, because as you decrease in whirl size, the twist goes in faster into your wheel. So decrease whirl size, twist goes in faster. Because this is a shorter staple length than I was thinking it was going to be, I would have been happier with the twist going in faster. But we are where we are. We already spun the first bobbin. So I'm going to keep with it. And actually I'm like halfway through the second bobbin now. So what I'm doing different now, and I'm going to start spinning and you can see, just going to pull a little bit off of this that I've drafted here. So what I'm basically doing, I'm spinning this long draw. I might just pull out just a little bit here. I don't remember. So two things here. This is all full of tips. Just a reminder that when you are spinning, generally speaking, there is a better side to spin from, to draft from, that will draft smoother. So the best way to find out, people say you can feel it when you are, if you're like doing pre-drafting like I just was. I have not had that be the case for me. I actually just sit at my wheel, and if one side, sorry, I'm not paying attention. If one side, I don't even remember what I was doing there for a sec. If one side is not drafting smoothly, or you're getting like blip, 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 big pockets of fiber, flip around. So I was spinning from this side. Now I'm going to try spinning from this side, and one of them will be easier to draft from. I think I was on the right side there. Yeah. So this is what I am doing, which is kind of a pain. And I'm going to focus for a minute. Is I am holding on to the fiber longer when I draft out. So I'm going to draft, and this is, and you would do the same thing if you were spinning short forward. So I'm going to draft out to a certain point. Then I'm going to stop, and I basically am just letting more twist build out. And you'll notice that, sorry, this is not a very organized fiber right now, is it? As I stop, even when I'm spinning long draw, if I stop, the twist just keeps building in what already has twist for a minute, not a minute, for a couple seconds. So let me kind of organize myself here. I can pull back, and this is also something when people are learning long draw, they tend to like pull back, get to the back, the twist gets to the back of the fiber, and they immediately let it go, which sometimes if you have your drive band in the ideal place, that's great. But sometimes you are going to get an under twisted fiber. So you can just pull back and then hold on to it for another sec and then let it feed in. Pull back, then let it feed in, versus just getting to the back of your draft and immediately going in. So that's and it's not a big difference. You guys, I am not paying very good attention to my spinning, sorry, but I hope you're getting the idea here. So one way to do it would be just pull back. As soon as the twist gets there, pull up. But instead, like I said, what I am doing is I'm pulling back and just letting twist build in there for another second or two. That way, because it is a shorter fiber, it's getting enough twist in, and then I'm letting it feed on. If I don't get enough twist in, the yarn's gonna break when I go to ply it. And a good test of that is, let it spin onto the wheel, and then especially if you let go of it and then start spinning, like sometimes, if you let it go and it gets, whoops, that wasn't very pretty, was it? And you let the yarn get pulled onto your wheel, or sometimes you get a break. Once you start, like if you rethread and you start pulling back and it breaks and it breaks and it breaks, you probably don't have enough twist in there. So whether you're spinning short forward or long draw, just hold on to it for a second longer before you let the wheel take it, and that's going to add more twist. So I'm going to go ahead and spin for a minute for you all. Here are my helpers, just because they're here, and there's Velma, and here's my other, there she is, both of our old critters. And here's Nigel, which he never comes up. He is very small. He looks kind of big in that, but he's about 20 pounds also, and snoring. He just got up here too, immediately snoring. Okay, so here are some little nests that I prepped here to the left. And this is the last little bit that is not prepped. Look at how different, I mean, just night and day. So you can imagine how different that's gonna be spinning it with that prep versus without. And let me take you down so you can see the fiber here. So this is the llama and merino. And it's kind of a very light brown oatmeal color. It's gonna be very pretty. I'm not sure if it's gonna be very next to skin, but we'll find out once I apply it and set it and move on. Let me let you say hi to Velma because she's staring like, hello, let's go do something fun. All right, we are here. We're getting ready to finish up. I was gonna show you this and then card up a little bit of that Romney alpaca silk for you real quick. But this is that washed up fin. It looks so much better. It looks so much better. There are some chunks that are a little, and I'm not really seeing them here, that are a little bit heavier in VM. I have one I'll show you. I think I pulled it out and thought, here we go. So I think you can kind of see that that's got a lot of junk in there, and it's almost a little bit, if I open it up away from this fiber, there's just so much bits of tiny VM in there and stuff that I'm gonna go ahead and just pull the chunks that look like that. They also get a little bit like they almost got a little bit felted. And they're pretty gunky. So spots like that, I'm gonna go ahead and pull. And I'm just gonna kind of be, as I pull this off the drying rack, where usually I would just swoop it off, throw it in a bag or throw it wherever ready for the picker. I'm probably gonna take a little more time just to go through and pick a little bit more VM out. Maybe open up any tips that look like they're a little bit tight, just because the tips are the tiniest bit weak. I think they're gonna be just fine, but I thought I would make it easier for the fiber as it's going through the process if I just take a little extra time here before we head to the picker. So I'll be doing that before we head out. And now we are going to go, I just got here, but we're gonna go head over to the carder and card up that fiber. All right, we are back at the carder finally, and I'm just gonna pick a little bit out of here that I don't like seeing. We're back at the carder, and this is that Romney alpaca silk that we picked out earlier. And to be clear, the fleece I just showed you was not the fleece that I unboxed, but the fleece from earlier in the episode that we were washing, that I cold soaked. The other fin fleece I am not going to cold soak. It does not have the level of dirt that this one had, so hopefully we'll get that in the washer soon, because it's nice to process similar fibers through the machines at the same time. So this is the Romney alpaca silk. This is actually the last of it. I thought I had filmed this, but I hadn't. Turning the machine on, and it is carding up really lovely. So that's always great. So I'm just laying it out onto the feeder of picking out some second cuts here and there, laying it out onto the feeder of the carder. And let me get this lined up and we'll go see what it looks like. I like to have this nice and even so that the roving I process is nice and even. And I'm hoping that, I think some of this is actually going to make its way to the website. So to get notice that things are getting updated in the website, head to my website and sign up for the online shop, because that is where I send out a notification when things have been updated there. You can always join the Ewethful community. They get early bird notice and get all the fibers. Generally speaking, they can get most of the fibers that they want, or they have a better chance of it. And what is left from there, if there is any left, then I update on the website. So those are all the places. I also did do a blog, beingewethful.com. Everything will be in the show notes. And that was all about using your blending board, in case you missed the episode where I talked about that. And there's all sorts of things happening. So places to find me. Okay, we've got that just about done. So let's go over and we'll watch this. Let's come over and you can take a peek inside. Open this up. Get you closer in. So there's that running through, running really well. And close that back up. And we'll walk over and see what it looks like coming out. Oop, sorry you all, I'm working around my working around the vacuum here. Okay, here we go. So it has this really nice light peachy color to it. It's gorgeous. I'm just gonna push this down for a minute. It's carding up so well. This is one of my favorites to spin. Of course I am partial, but the Romney wool with that addition of the alpaca and the silk, it has a beautiful luster to it. It has a nice handle to it because this is some stunning alpaca. So there we go. All right, I think it's time for my final words. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. You can find me in all the places I basically just talked about, and you can also find that all in the show notes. Hopefully I'll get some fiber up on the website here soon. Join the newsletter. And my soapbox for the week, I thought I wasn't gonna have one, but I mean, it is the time. I do have people asking me if I'm getting negative comments or negative feedback about this. I've gotten one negative comment that basically told all of us to keep our politics off of this platform. And the reason that I have chosen to take a few minutes of each time, it's at the end. If you don't make it this far, you'll never know. But some of you do make it this far and you continue to listen, and for that, I thank you. I think we all have platforms. I think right now in this country, it's really important for us to speak up and try to unite each other. And that's basically why I just take a few minutes here at the end. I didn't think I needed to this week, but it turns out every week it's almost like a little bit of a, it's just a way to connect with a lot of you that are feeling the same way, and I hope that it helps in some sense. I actually was just listening. I talk a lot about the weekly show or I've mentioned him a few times, Jon Stewart. He has a podcast, The Weekly Show. Last week, I think it's last week, he had Ressa on, who is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. She is a Filipino and American journalist who was in the Philippines during the fall of the democracy there. And it was very, very sobering to listen to her talk about the similarities of what happened there and what's happening here. And towards the end, she was basically pleading to all Americans to speak up, to stay connected, to show up, just show up, whether it is sending out the emails, making phone calls. If you can go to a town hall meeting, if you get into a town hall meeting, like these are all the places. I know we're not feeling, and I'm not just saying people that didn't vote for the current president. I'm saying that a lot of us in this country are feeling not heard by the people that are supposed to be representing us, or that our representatives aren't speaking loud enough, even though we are. And so she just was urging people not to give up, to keep it up, because what's happening is dangerous. And she actually, towards the end of the podcast, said, we assumed democracy would last forever. And it hit. So continue to speak up, you all. Continue to send the emails, and I know it's hard. And then take the time for your mental health when you can, because that's important too. Turn it off at the end of the night and go make something pretty. So anyway, thank you all for listening, and feel free to reach out. I don't want this to become a place of debate, because I think that media has done enough of that to us, and it's just time to unite. It's time to unite and say, we need to move forward, and this is not the way to do it. So, okay, until next week, everybody, be kind to everybody around you. Again, we don't know everybody's stories, and it's rough. It's rough out there. So do your best to be kind. That's how we stay united. Stay healthy, and make so many pretty things for your mental health, for the beauty of the world. And until I see you next week, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you somewhere in the online community, or maybe in the mill shop.